Good morning, Flosstube. It is Friday, the 11th of February 2022. I am Sarah and this is my channel about cross stitch and sometimes other needlework as well. And it's Sew Me Sarah. You're very welcome here this morning. Thank you to those of you who have chosen to come back, gluttons for punishment and all that. And thank you also to those of you who are new, and there have been quite a number of you in the last number of weeks, so that's really nice to see. And please say hi. Please let me know that you are new and joining us here on Sew Me Sarah, and let me know where in the world you are visiting from, because it's nice to know there are folks all over the world joining in with us here. So I have lovely viewers in the UK, in Ireland, in Australia, in America, in Canada, in New Zealand, in Denmark and Norway, and let me think where else. Oh, the Netherlands, of course, the Netherlands. I probably have viewers from elsewhere, but I'm just not sure where they are because they haven't told me. So if you'd like to tell me where you're watching from, I'd love to know. And if you're new, please definitely tell me. Let me know that you're here and let me know where you're watching from. It's lovely that this technology allows us to gather together and be a community across the world in ways that we never ever would be without the technology. So yes, there's some good to come of this technology. This morning I have a little bit of cross stitch to share with you and not much else. So there's not much by the way of quilty talk today or other crafting activities either. So it's mainly just cross stitch today and a little bit of chatter along the way. Since last time I saw you, it's been reasonably quiet here. There's not a lot of family life to report. We're just getting on with it, keeping on as you do. I did ask in my last video about the volume issue, and I'm doing my best. It's not natural for me to be very loud. But I can project a little bit and I'm trying that. But what I will do is I will, in the editing phase, I will increase the volume even more than I have been previously. Only a few of you have said that there are issues. Most of the rest of you seem to be okay. So for those of you who are having difficulties, I really hope that it helps if I can bump the volume up a little bit on the editing process. And I will do that again today, and I will keep my fingers crossed that it works better for you when you're watching. I just don't really want to be shouting at you across your living room or your kitchen. So yeah, there's that fear as well. That's the last thing you guys need. So yeah, so that was just to clear that up. Here in Northern Ireland this morning, it is frosty and cold. And we are having the weirdest January-February weather that I've ever known. We are having mainly mild days, like 10, 11 degrees Celsius, which is too high for this time of the year, really. And then all of a sudden we'll get a cold snap for a day or maybe two, but mostly like just a day. And then it goes back to being super mild again. So it's very, very strange. We have had frost now for the last 2 mornings. So that's a little bit more normal for this time of year. But I think my body goes into shock. It doesn't know what to do with itself. I don't know if I should be dressing like with hats and scarves and everything to stay warm, or if I'm going to end up melting by the afternoon because it becomes so mild again. But anyway, I guess our weather tribulations here are very minor compared to some of you across the world who are experiencing extreme cold and massive snowstorms, or perhaps extreme heat in your summertime as well. So now that I've done my little chat about the weather and been very British about it, let's move on and talk to you a little bit about when I went shopping. So I'm trying really hard not to buy more kits, more charts, more floss at the moment. Just for a little bit to give me time to catch up on some of the purchasing that I did last year, because last year was my first big year back to cross stitch. I did start back in 2020 But by the time 2021 rolled around, I was well immersed in Flosstube and all of the enabling that goes on there, and I managed to pick up and improve my stash of fabrics and floss and charts mightily. So I'd like to catch up on that a little bit with some actual stitching, and of course just save some pennies. But I know that that resolve is going to be tested greatly in the next few weeks as we see all of the market releases coming along. I've already spied some that are very interesting, and some I have actually already got, so that's sort of a relief. I've already got them because they were published in the Primitive Stitcher Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, PNPS magazine. They were published there last year, and now they are no longer exclusive to the magazine, so they're being released at market. And those charts that of which I speak are the Blue Flowers Seasons of the Heart charts. So they would be going on my list for purchasing if I didn't already have them through the magazine. So I know, as I said, I know my resolve for purchasing is going to be tested in the next few weeks, but I'm going to do my very best just to keep a wish list and then make some purchases later in the year when I have actually stitched some of the things that are already sitting over in the sewing nook. But when I was out shopping, I was at one of our supermarkets here in the UK. It's called Sainsbury's, and when I was in there, they had a sale on their kitchenwares, and I found this, which I had been looking at for quite some time. It is a recipe book stand in oak, and it's from Sainsbury's. It was £14 before Christmas, and I just thought, not sure. That's quite a lot at this time, so I didn't buy it then. But the other day when I was in, they had this range all reduced, and this was £5.60. So that was too good a bargain to pass up, and I purchased it. Now I saw that Michelle from Mama Loves You GB also purchased it, and she showed hers on Sunday. So good minds think alike, Michelle. Michelle might paint hers. I'm not sure if I will or not, but you definitely could. I have a sort of wood effect in my kitchen, so I might just leave it as it is. And my plan for this is to stitch the gingerbread cookies chart from Stitching with the Housewives and the others, because they have released recently carrot cake recipe, and Priscilla did say on one of their more recent videos, their Flosstubes, that this is going to be a collection, not a series, but a collection. So I think from time to time they will release a new recipe, and she did say that she has several others in her head ready to stitch and chart. So I'm looking forward to that. As the pattern is, the design comes out just a tiny bit smaller than this actual board would be. But Priscilla and Chelsea stitch on 28 count, which is a 14 count if you're 2 over 2. So I think if I reduced my stitch onto a 16 count or onto an 18 count, it would make it smaller again and would probably then give me a little bit more margin on the board. But I can work all of that out when the time comes. I'm not starting to stitch these anytime soon, unfortunately. But I am really delighted with this lovely little recipe book holder, and I think it will be very cute, and it's a great bargain. So if you're in the UK, you have a Sainsbury's near you and you're interested, you could check it out. The board, just in case you want to know, I did write down the measurements. The board itself is 7 3/4 inches wide by 9 inches high from here to the base in there. So 7 3/4 inches by 9 inches, just in case that interests you. So that was my purchase. So I'm not buying charts and floss, but I'll buy some finishing items. We're such good justifiers of the things that we purchase for our hobbies and for the things we love, aren't we? Come on, say yes, yes, yes. Don't leave me here on my own. Just, yeah, tell me that you're just as bad as I am. So I've also had some really lovely Happy Mail in the last few weeks, and I want to just share that with you as a thank you to the folks who were kind enough to think of us here at So Me Sarah, and by us I mean me and Charlotte, to think, and you, actually, and you. So I want to say thank you to the folks who were kind enough to think of us and to share some things with us that I can in turn also, some of them, share with you. So the first parcel that I received since the last time I saw you is all the way from sunny California, and this comes from Lisa E. So thank you, Lisa. Lisa sent this wonderful chart. Ta-da! The Redbird Sampler. Very kindly, Lisa contacted me and said that she had a spare copy and would I like it either to stitch myself or to use as a giveaway. And I said, oh, it's beautiful, thank you very much. And yes, I would love to give this as a share on the channel. Now, I have never seen this before, and it is by Brenda Gervais. It's very popular at the moment, and you'll have seen stitches of this no doubt on other Flosstube channels or around Instagram. And it really is so much more beautiful when you see it for real. And I've never seen a Brenda Gervais chart before. It's beautiful, guys. It's really nicely charted. So it's big and bold, and you will have no problem reading this chart. It really is a beautiful chart. The charting itself makes me think I should stitch it just for me and not bother to share it. But I have so much happening here that it'll be a long, long time before I would ever get to stitch it. So I am going to pass this on and share it a little bit later. But that was really sweet of Lisa to share her second chart and pass it along to me here so that I can now share it with you guys. Lisa also sent a couple of small charts, which I will include in giveaways at another time. Thank you for those. And of course, she didn't forget about Charlotte and Lisa and her daughter. I'm not going to name her daughter just to give her that privacy, but they sent Charlotte this gorgeous little card. Keep wishing on a star. Mommy's going to put that on my cabinets over there. We're going to keep that one pretty. And they sent Charlotte some stickers. So I'm just going to show you, because Charlotte is at school today, I'm going to show you Lisa and Lisa's daughter that Charlotte really enjoyed her stickering. She's a more is more kind of girl, is Charlotte. So she really loved the mermaid stickers, and she just, yeah, kept putting them on more and more and more, and she enjoyed every minute of it. So thank you so much for the sweet stickers for Charlotte, and for thinking of her as well when you sent your parcel. And thanks for the lovely message in your card to me, Lisa. I appreciate that. Thank you for joining the community here, for sharing with me and sharing with others, and being a part of that. It's lovely. And guys, keep your eyes peeled. Towards the end of today's video, I will do a share for this beautiful chart. So next we have, I forgot to put a chair on this side of me today, so I'll be dipping to the floor as we go along. So next I received some mail that took its time crossing the world, all the way from New Zealand. I have a lovely viewer called Judith who watches from New Zealand, and Judith has a Northern Ireland connection. Her parents are from Northern Ireland, and I think she was born here in Northern Ireland, and then they moved to New Zealand. And Judith has found my channel and likes the Northern Ireland accent, reminding her of her parents. And very, very sweetly, Judith sent me a gift just as a thank you for the Flosstube channel, and it's amazing. Now, she sent this as a Christmas gift with a beautiful Christmas card with strawberries. we don't have strawberries at Christmas, not real growing ones. We have imported ones here. But I guess in New Zealand you guys can have strawberries at Christmas. So Christmas and strawberries together, what could be better? So Judith sent this as a little Christmas present, and it made its way here slowly and arrived earlier this week. So Judith sent me 2 fabulous pieces of dyed linen, hand dyed linen. And these are dyed by a dyer local to Judith, about 20 minutes from where Judith is in New Zealand. You can see the tag here. The dyer is Country Stitch, so that's countrystitch.com if you are in New Zealand. These are a Swigart based, got the orange, the telltale orange band on them, and they are divine. So if you are local and in New Zealand, I could recommend this, but you probably already know. So these are very generous fat quarters, and they are absolutely gorgeous in colour. So I'm assuming these are the colours on the labels. So this one is Cory, and this one is Pippi. And there you go. Pippi has a greenish tone, and Cory is a beautiful neutral. They are stunning, and they feel beautiful, and they look beautiful, and I'm very excited to keep them in my stash and find the perfect project for them as time goes on. So Judith, thank you very much for your kindness, for thinking of me, and I'm very glad that we have made a connection, even though we're, you know, half a world apart. I have a funny story to tell you about Judith's parcel, and I'm hoping that she won't mind me telling this. But Judith had asked for my address, and I gave her my address, but what I didn't give her was my surname. So when she arrived at the post office, then Judith had realised that she didn't have my surname, and so she just put Smith on the end of my name. So she sent the parcel to Sarah Smith at my address here in Northern Ireland. And the day that the postman delivered the parcel, he knocked on my door, and he wasn't going to leave the parcel. He wasn't going to put it through. It would have fitted through the letterbox, but he didn't. He was just checking because he knows that I'm not Smith. And he said, "Is this for you? Because there's a Smith around the corner, and maybe it's..." I said, no, it's absolutely for me. So the Smiths around the corner almost got my 2 beautiful pieces of linen. I'm very glad that the postman knocked on the door and it didn't go elsewhere. So yes, Sarah Smith has received her parcel. Thank you very much, Judith. And this week then, just where are we, Friday? On Wednesday, this lovely parcel arrived from the very north of Northern Ireland, from a lovely viewer and Instagrammer called Sharon. And Sharon was just sending me a little parcel to thank me for some charts that I had sent to her before Christmas. I'd shared with her some charts that I was finished with. So Sharon, thank you. She included Miss Charlotte in this parcel, so there's more stickers, and no doubt these princesses inside the sticker book will be super well dressed, because you know, more is more with stickers. So the princesses will be well dressed the weekend, and I'm sure that the mini eggs will disappear too. So Charlotte was very grateful. In all honesty, folks, I'm not sure if Charlotte fully grasps the concept that people across the world and are sending these sweet gifts to her, but she is very appreciative and she does love them, and her mummy is very touched that you would think of her as well. So thank you very much for that. So yes, Sharon, we will no doubt be stickering all weekend in the book. Sharon's parcel included this beautiful card, which I will just show you because it's cross-stitch related. It seems like these are Hands Across the Sea sampler cards, and they have just little chart on the back, which might be part of the sampler actually. But I haven't seen these before, but they're very cute. Thank you, Sharon. And Sharon, as a little thank you for the charts I sent her, has sent me a copy of Heart in Hands Wee Santa. 2021. So isn't he lovely? He's very regal looking Santa. And chocolate eggs, yum yum, thank you. And my very first ever silk. So this is the Thread Gatherer Silk in Colours. And I'm hoping you can see that beautiful colour. It's called Aegean Twilight. What a gorgeous name, Aegean Twilight. So I think Sharon is clearly very familiar with my colour palettes. So thank you, Sharon. I have never had any silk. I've never stitched with silk or tried it or even seen it. So this is the first time I've ever had silk floss in my hands. And I am looking forward to giving this a go. I will find something lovely to stitch with that. I'm thinking maybe one of Jacob's smaller patterns would be gorgeous in this. So thank you. Totally not necessary, Sharon. I was very happy to pass the stash to you, but very much appreciated. So thank you guys. Having Happy Mail is a very fun thing. Sorry, I'm back again. So thank you all. Thank you, Sharon, Lisa E and Judith, for the treats in the last couple of weeks. I really appreciate those. Now, let's get to some stitching, some actual work. Okay, so I will start today showing you the progress that I've had on my stitch-alongs. So the first stitch-along is the one that I'm doing with Joanita at Stitchy Things. So if you haven't been over to Stitchy Things on Flosstube, go now. Stop watching me and go and watch Joanita. She is so lovely, and I just love to hear her. I love to listen to her family updates. She has a good story about a 19-year-old boy who's very fashion conscious this week. I love to see her stitching. She stitches a lot of things that are like me, and I note that she is also interested in the Blue Flowers Seasons of the Hearts pattern. So yeah, we have coincidental stash. Anyway, we decided that we would stitch the Gentle Rain together, which is another blue flower pattern. And Joanita is making better progress than me, but here's my progress. I have now finished the top and all the swirls and the birds, and I've made a start on the tree branches. So there's a lot of counting in this pattern, but it's beautiful. Every stitch makes me happy. You'll see that if you compare mine to the original, the swirls around the lettering in the original are much more subtle. I wasn't able to get hold of that thread at the time. I think it's called Frosted Sage. Yes, it's Classics Colorwork Frosted Sage, and I wasn't able to get hold of it, so I just substituted with a DMC variegated floss that was in my stash. I'm not sure if the colour's showing quite right, but it is lovely. But it is quite a bit more dominant. It's not as subtle, obviously, as the original. So I'm hoping it will be okay. I do love it as it sits on its own. I'm just hoping it doesn't change the final feel, the final overall feel of the picture. I think it will be okay. So in case you are interested, the DMC is 4020, I believe. So that is my progress on the Gentle Rain. I'm looking forward to getting down into the pattern and being able to add some of the little animals and the little girl and, you know, the detail. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. And then I had a new sal that started on the 4th of February, and that is the Heartfelt Stitch Along by the Fat Quarter Shop. That is the design there. And this is the Fat Quarter Shop's sal for 2022 to raise funds for the Make-A-Wish Foundation and for their local one in Texas. There's also a quilt along, so those of you who watch who are quilters, you might be interested in the quilt along. The patterns for the cross stitch and for the quilt are free, but Fat Quarter Shop are obviously hoping to encourage us to donate to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they have suggested donations. I think it's $20 for this one and a bit more for the quilt. But it is a charity that makes a big difference in the lives of children who have life-limiting conditions and chronic illnesses. So it's a very generous thing for the Fat Quarter Shop to do, and it's a way that we can pay back at the same time as enjoying our hobbies. So Heartfelt, the cross stitch version, is going to be a monthly release on the first Friday of every month, and it's going to last for 6 months. So part 1 was released on February the 4th, and part 1 is the bordering. So, oh yeah, I'm keeping this in my bag, which I got for Christmas, yay! Stitching is my cardio. I know this is an older bag, but it's the first time I've been able to have one. So the first part was the bordering, and this is the fabric that I dyed in my recent tutorial. So if you haven't seen the tutorial yet and you are interested in how to dye with Dylon dyes, which are a dye that we can access here in the UK. Some of the rest of you may be able to access Dylon dyes. It's a powdered dye. It's the kind of dye that we used to throw in the washing machine with our jeans to dye them the colour we wanted when we were teenagers. But it's just an alternative to the RIT dye. So I know that there are plenty of RIT dye tutorials out there on Flosstube, and I wanted to show you how to use Dylon dye. There are some folks who have already used the tutorial and found it very helpful, so that's good news. And they've had success and have been sending me photographs of their results. So that's really nice to see that the tutorial has helped other people have a little bit of confidence and give it a go. So this is the result of my dyeing on that video, and it is 16 count Ada. Sorry, whatever way the video was, it looked on the screen here in front of me, I thought that's not Ada. It looks like even weave, but it is Ada. There we go, that's a bit better. And that is the border section. So it was quite nice and rhythmic and repetitive, and I think that it's coming up really nicely on the fabric that I dyed. So I'm very happy with that to the start. And this mark up here just is telling me that that's the top of my fabric, because at the moment there's no way of identifying the orientation. So there's still plenty of time for you to catch up if you would like to have a go at the Heartfelt Sal. The next release won't be until the 1st February in March, which I think, sorry, 1st February in March? Let's start again. The next release will be on the 1st Friday in March. That's much better, which I believe is the 4th, Friday the 4th of March. So you have time to download the free pattern and get it stitched all before Friday the 4th of March if you would like to catch up with the Heartfelt Sal. The last of my sals is the La Finestra del Tempo sal. So we are doing this as a sal on Instagram, and the hashtag is Finestra del Tempo sal. And these are the beautiful patterns by Marula at Crochet A Go-Go. Marula. And I'm on the second pattern, which has the middle 4 months of the year, so May to August, and we're now stitching July. If you would like to join the sal, it doesn't matter where you are in the months, just join in, stitch whatever month you like, and just see the lovely stitches that are happening. It's really nice to see how people adapt them, how people in the southern hemisphere are adapting them because they have a snowman in July. So it's fun. It's really fun. Please come and join us if you are at all inclined. And here is my progress with July. The sunflowers are glorious. The colours are bright and warm and cheery, which is just what you need on a frosty day in January. And you can see I've started the house. And these will be bees, so I haven't added in the black on them yet. And there's some beautiful lavender down in the bottom, if I can show you July. And the goose, look at the goose with her shawl. So I have made a start, I'm getting there, and hopefully I will get that finished before the end of the month. I haven't yet fully finished June. The stitching is finished, but I haven't fully finished it onto the board. So normally I would have had that done last month, but I didn't get there. So I'll probably just keep it and hopefully finish June and July together, and then be able to show you fully finished maybe next time. Fingers crossed. So that's it for the Sals. I then picked up a pattern that I started to stitch quite a long time ago, and I think I showed it to you once. And it is this pattern here. Okay. Now, I made this cover sheet myself because the pattern was a PDF download and didn't actually come with a cover sheet. And I have given it a title myself. So I have called it the Square Tiles Motif Cross Stitch. Okay, that is not its real name, so please don't Google that. Okay, so I'm just wanting to point out that I've given it this name just so that I could identify it and call it something in my stitchy journal so that I knew which pattern I was talking about. This is a pattern from 2x2, so it's 2x2 stitch art. 2x2 stitch art on Etsy. I'll show you there. Okay, and I will link below. I will link all of the designs that I show you today. I will link them all below, so if you are interested. Now, this Etsy shop has lots of designs and they're very beautiful, mostly geometric, not all, but mostly. There are a number of tile, what I would call tile designs. So if you fancy having a go but don't want to do one that's 7x7, they probably have ones that are like maybe 5x5, or I also think there's a slightly bigger one, it might be 9x9. I liked this one, and I think if you're looking for this one on their page, it may even look differently because there were several photographs of it in a different color. So I think the main page has it in a different color than this. But there will be a link below so that it will get you to the right one, to this one. But you could also have a look because there are lots of other beautiful ones as well. And I think some of them even have no borders because there's quite a lot of border work in this. So some of them have tile designs that don't have borders, which would be, that might be nice now that I'm a little bit into the borders. It might be nice to have less border. But I think, if I remember, and it is a long time since I was on the page, but I think that the designs are numbered rather than named. So they have very generic names rather than specific names, and it can be quite difficult to find things. So that's why I'm going to provide you with the link if this one interests you at all. Anyway, I should show it to you because how will you know if you're interested? So here is my stitching so far. Last time I showed it to you, I had the first 3 blocks done. So you can see I've only managed one more block. And last month, I managed that in January, but towards the end of January, I think I had actually hoped to stitch 4 or 5 more blocks in January, but just didn't get to it. So what I've done for February is I have made this my daily stitch. And when I've been putting in 1 thread length a day before I stitch anything else. So if I'm going to stitch on a day, then I'll pick this up first, 1 thread length, and put it in. So I know there are different ways that people do these daily stitches. Some people stitch 25 stitches a day. Some people stitch 25 minutes a day. I do a daily thread. So it's really, I took that inspiration from Laurie Holt, who stitches 1 red thread a day. So I take 1 thread length and I put it into a project, and each month I decide what my daily thread project will be for that month. So I decided for February I will do this, and It's just the repetitive border part that I'm going to do on a thread a day, because that is a nice thing to do on a thread a day, is something that doesn't take lots of extra counting, or something that's repetitive that you've got the pattern in your head and you can just keep going, and your one thread a day doesn't take very long, and then you can get on to the other thing that you were planning to stitch that day. If there's a day when I'm not stitching, I don't stitch at all, then I don't force myself to do the daily thread. I don't worry about it, is what I'm trying to say. So it's a nice way of making progress, and if you've been here for a while, you'll see that I made nice progress on a needlepoint that way, and on some other things. And sometimes I'll carry a project through to the end as a daily thread, and sometimes I'll just designate it for that month, for a month to move it along. So sorry, this is just me giving you some ideas if you wanted to have a go yourself. So you can see that with the daily thread piece, I've actually got quite a little bit of extra bordering in, and that means that when I have some other dedicated time, I will just be able to stitch the tile motifs. The mathematical side of my brain loves the geometry and the symmetry in these tile designs. So there are 49 of them altogether, as mine is a 7 by 7 square pattern. So yeah, it's going to take some time, but but that's okay. And I'm stitching it on a big piece of crunchy Ada, but it's going to be lovely anyway. There we go, and the thread is a DMC 3810, in case you're interested. Next, I worked on Rain Rain, which, as you know, is my unicorn chart, kindly gifted to me by 2 viewers. Rain Rain by La Di Da. And now that I have stitched most of this, I know for sure that the reason I love this chart is the shape of that umbrella. I wasn't really sure why this chart appealed to me so very much. I just knew that it did. But now that I've stitched it, or stitched most of it, I know it's to do with the shape of the umbrella. So here's my progress on Rain Rain. You can see that I have outlined the umbrella. That's in Black Crow. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that I've got enough of it to finish the fill-in. And the only other thing then that I have left to stitch are the flowers that go on the stalk here. Should be those, if you can see them, like that. So there's not a huge amount of work left. It's a pretty small piece. I did work on the 1/1, and I'm very proud of myself, even though I miscounted. So there should be more of a gap here between the words and this little border break, which then means everything should be a little bit lower. But seriously, it really isn't an issue. It really isn't an issue. So aside from that little mishap, I was very proud of my 1/1. And I have stitched a little bit of 1/1 before, but the 1/1 that I've stitched previously has been the entire design. So for example, this Always, which is a Liz Matthews freebie, I stitched 1/1 on 25 count. The whole thing was 1/1, and actually I find that easier than this, which is switching between 2/2 and back to 1/1. So and I think your points of reference are different because you're trying to reference against the 2/2 stitching rather than against similar stitching. I hope that makes sense, but anyway, I mean, I managed and it's fine, but it is a bit more thinking, a bit, yeah. Anyway, I'll quit before I confuse you even more, folks. So that is my project on Rain Rain, which I'm really enjoying, and I'm hoping that the fill-in won't take too long as I've got enough thread. So we'll see how that goes. Now, oh, this is also a Sal, which I've not included with the other Sals, but this is a Sal called A Mother's Love Sal, and we are stitching What Remains by Blackbird Designs. I hope that you're not sick of me talking about this. But here's the chart, absolutely gorgeous, and here is my progress. I'm stitching this with the cold 4 threads, 1/2 on a 35 count Permin lamb's wool linen. I finished the house. I had only made a little bit of a start on the house the last time you saw it. The roof was on and a few lines of the brickwork. But I have finished the house and the grass that's beneath. And I made a start on this flower pot, vase, urn, whatever you want to call it. And there's a couple of extra doodads been added in, those X's here, here. So that is my progress in honor of my mum. I love it. Variegated thread on the house is beautiful, really beautiful. It's interesting because working with the overdyes, the variegation is often a lot more subtle than, say, for example, the DMC. The DMC variegations can be quite pronounced, they're not as subtle. So this one is more obvious than, for example, the Black Crow on Rain Rain. So the Black Crow on Rain Rain, I have to be really honest, when I have it stitched, I can't see the variegation, I can't see anything but black. When I am working the stitches, I can see that there's a very blue sheen off this black colour, but it doesn't really come through in the stitching. So sometimes I'm not sure whether it's worth the variegation, but in this instance, it definitely is. So it's interesting just to see how different designs work up differently and different threads work differently, and maybe the Black Crow's not meant to have so much variegation, I'm not sure. Anyway, enough of that. Back to the chart. What remains? You know, there's been an ongoing conversation here because I know that many of you love it and want it, and we have been wondering if it might be released for Needlework Market, which is next month from, I think, 3rd or the 4th of March. And the answer is yes. There was speculation. I had been told by a few folks that it was being released, and I heard on Traditional Stitches Flosstube. Traditional Stitches is the shop in Canada which had the original pattern as an exclusive to them for their 20-year anniversary. I think I said 25th last time, but it's 20. And it was part of their 20th anniversary celebrations. The design was exclusive to them for the year, but is now going to be released at Needlework Market. So you only have a few weeks to wait, folks. Let your local shops know that you would like this chart so that they can order it up for you and you can get hold of it. It is precious, it is beautiful. To stitch it is just divine. It is a beautiful, beautiful stitch. So I am really pleased that those of you who love it will soon be able to get hold of it. I know that Traditional Stitches are already taking pre-orders, so thank you for telling me that, Sharon. So if you are interested in ordering from Canada, then you could go and pre-order there. Other than that, I'm sure that there will be lots of other shops having it in their stock come March. So keep your eyes peeled. One of the other older stitches that I've had that has been left kind of neglected for a little while is Country Cottage Needleworks Love Lives Here. And since we're approaching Valentine's, I thought I would pick this up again. It's so cute. And I had stopped somewhere in the borders. I had just I had started the green vines in the borders, and I had started the checkerboard, and I was sort of trying to work them together, you know, at the same pace. I didn't have any of the little flowers or hearts in the borders. And I had probably about 2/3 of the borders done at that stage. Let me find a board. Folks, there's such a mess on my floor. Next time I really need to remember the chair. It at least keeps everything in the one pile. They've all gone on the floor and slid off each other, so they're all going to be all mixed up now. Anyway, I'll show you what you came to see. So this is Love Lives Here. I finished up the border. I love the little fences. I can't wait to stitch them on the other side. They were so nice to stitch. I don't know why, they were just sweet. I finished the words and I made a start on the house with its beautiful red and pink windows. So there's not too much more to do. Well, it's probably deceptive. There's that big house in the centre and then little birds on top of the fences and the trees with all their hearts. So I'm pleased. It's not going to be finished for this Valentine's Day, but you know, I have made some more progress and touched the project again rather than it languishing. So it's been nice to work on. And then I think, is this maybe my last one to show you? The last one I'm going to show you today is a new start. I loved this pattern the minute that I saw it last year. It was released at one of the expos. I think maybe the later one in August. I could be wrong with my timings there, but anyway, this is a Frog Cottage Designs and it's called Kindness Matters. And it's beautiful and I love the sentiment. This kindness does matter and there's so much kindness shown to me in my life and I try really hard to show kindness back. And I think it makes a difference. I think we touch people's hearts with kindness. We can heal with kindness. All sorts of things happen out of kindness. So kindness matters. So the sentiment really grabbed me. And the design, of course, is beautiful. Look at those borders. Now, the reality of my stitch is that the floss colours, which I'm using, are called the Cold Floor. They seem a lot darker to me in real life, but they're still beautiful. They're very rich. This is, I think, Redwood Currant or something. Is it on the back? Let me check. Try not to wrinkle. Oh, sorry, it's Country Redwood. Country Redwood. I'm trying to see if you can get an idea of the variegation. And the border has very subtle variegation. I don't think that's showing up maybe terribly well there. The border is Old Hickory. These are all Gentle Arts threads and the, there we go. And the other colours in the chart are beautiful too. There's a bayberry green and there's a cornflower blue, which has, yeah, the cornflower blue is gorgeous. There's quite a difference in the variegation of that floss. So there's a much lighter portion and a much darker portion. And it seems that in the design, I'll just show you this. In the design, that it's being, you use the darker part at some for this symbol, and then you use the lighter part of it for this symbol. So it's the same thread, it's Gentle Arts 0250, and you use the darker part of the thread for one of the symbols and the lighter part for another. So that's going to be interesting. But I guess you can see in the design that that has a lovely effect of sort of being the under part of the petals on the flower. So it's nice to have that as a new start for the month. And I don't have any plans for it. There's no deadline for it. It's just to be enjoyed, which most of my stitching is just, well, all of it I want to enjoy, but most of it is not on a set, a deadline schedule. And that's quite nice. It just means you can pick up and stitch what you feel like stitching at the time, even though I would plan it at the beginning of the month what I would like to stitch. But you know, if I'm not feeling it on the day, then I'll choose something that I do feel. Oh, pardon me, a little hiccup. and stitch and enjoy, because that's what this is about. It's about, pardon me, my apple that I had for breakfast is now deciding to repeat. Yes, it's about leaving the stress behind, is really what it's about. So if my stitching becomes stressful, something is wrong. Because this is the part of my life that needs to be not stressful. So if that's what you're doing, if it's not your bread and butter, if it's not your job, then please try to keep your stitching fun and stress-free. I know that we'll all get moments when we have to unpick or something doesn't go quite right, but don't let it become a terror in your life. There's enough in the world creating problems. Anyway, that got a bit heavy and it wasn't meant to. All to say, just keep it all fun and enjoy. So that's it for all the stitching today. I don't have any quilting to show. I'm still working on binding the 2 charity quilts, and I'm hoping that they will be off in the next couple of weeks. I have a friend coming to visit next week, which I'm really looking forward to, and I'm hoping that maybe I'll get some more of that binding done as we chat, maybe even a little bit of fill-in on the Rain umbrella, but we'll see. I make no promises. I'm also hoping to finish the La Finestra July and do a final finish on the June and July charts, and maybe make a start on an Easter project, just a little one. We'll see how it goes. Plans are there to shape the fun, but not to control it, right? So before I leave you today, I want to do the 2 shares that I have. I told you that I had this one to share from Lisa E, who kindly sent the red bird sampler for me to pass along to you. So if you are interested in this pattern, then please use the words red bird in your comment below. Okay. And thank you again, Lisa, for sharing this with the community here at Sew Me Sarah. The other share that I have for you, which I didn't mention as I was showing you the Gentle Rain, is a copy of the Gentle Rain being passed along by one of my viewers, Caroline, who is on Instagram as Caroline Clothesline Crafts. Caroline joined the Sal on Instagram, and if memory serves, Caroline had already started this before we started the Sal. She had already started her Gentle Rain, but she jumped in on the Sal and used it as a motivator to get her over the finish line and to complete her project, which is absolutely gorgeous. And she shared that on the Instagram, and then she contacted me and said, look, I have this chart. I'd be very happy to pass my stash on to one of your viewers if you would like. So thank you for that, Caroline. That is a really generous offer and a nice way to be involved here in the Sew Me Sarah community. So if you would like a copy of the Gentle Rain, then please use the word gentle in your comment below. And for this chart, you have to be happy for me to share your address with Caroline, because Caroline is kindly going to post it directly to you rather than send it to me to then send to you. So Caroline is going to post it directly to you. So please be happy for me to share your address with Caroline. For both of the shares, please don't use any words like giveaway, winner, prize, anything like that in your comments. We want this to go to someone who is a genuine stitcher who really would like to have it. Or this one. Okay. And please be a subscriber. Please like the video today. And also please enter if you are international. I am very happy to send this anywhere, and Caroline and I will work this out between us, and I'm very happy to post Lisa's internationally too. So everyone can enter, just don't use the words that you're not supposed to, and make sure you use the words that you are supposed to. So gentle and red bird. I highly recommend both charts. They're both beautiful designs, beautiful patterns, well charted, and you will be very happy. If you're interested, you will be a very happy winner of the shares. So thank you, Lisa and Caroline, for your generosity to my viewers, to our community here, and good luck to the rest of you who would like a chance to have these added to your stash. So I hope that you will have a good couple of weeks until I see you next. Hopefully it will be just 2 weeks until I'm back again. And I hope that you will be able to cope with whatever weird weather the world is throwing you in your season, be it winter or summer. And I also hope that you will all stay safe. So until next time, folks, stay well and stitch happy. Bye.